2024 is shaping up to be one of the most pivotal elections in U.S. history. As voters, we're faced with a powerful choice, two very different candidates, two very different visions. So, who will lead America better, Donald Trump or Kamala Harris? Donald Trump is a businessman-turned-politician known for his unapologetic populism, and Kamala Harris is a revolutionary figure representing a new era of diversity and progressive ideals. In this video, we break down their policies, strengths, what each candidate brings to the table, and how their visions could impact us all. Let's dive in. The economy. Kamala Harris and Donald Trump have contrasting economic goals for America. Harris wants to create an opportunity economy by building up the middle class. She plans to address the housing crisis by building 3 million affordable homes, helping first-time buyers with down payments, and streamlining construction. Harris is also focused on investing in new industries, pledging tax credits for companies creating good union jobs in manufacturing, steel, and new sectors like biomanufacturing and AI. On the other hand, Trump's economic plan is centered on reducing reckless big government spending and prioritizing energy independence with his drill, baby, drill strategy, which would expand oil and gas production to cut fuel costs and fight inflation. He also aims to reduce the $35 trillion national debt. While Harris focuses on supporting workers and new industries, Trump's approach is all about lowering costs through traditional energy expansion and spending cuts. Taxes. Kamala Harris and Donald Trump offer very different economic plans for America's future. Harris aims to lift up low- and middle-income families by expanding the Earned Income Tax Credit and pledges not to raise taxes on households making $400,000 or less. Her campaign also insists on making the wealthiest Americans and the largest corporations pay their fair share, raising the corporate tax rate to 28% and increasing the child tax credit for families. Harris promises to support small businesses by boosting startup deductions, giving them a leg up. Trump, however, plans to cut corporate taxes to 15% but only for companies that make their product in the USA. He also emphasizes imposing tariffs on imports, especially from China, to protect American jobs, threatening high tariffs on companies moving manufacturing overseas. Despite their differences, both candidates agree on one thing: eliminating taxes on tips for workers in service and hospitality jobs. Did you find this intriguing? Wait, there's more to come as we explore the strengths and priorities of each candidate. Crime. Kamala Harris and Donald Trump have different approaches to crime policy, especially around gun control and law enforcement. Harris believes guns are a primary cause of violent crime, and her campaign promises to ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines, require universal background checks, and enforce red flag laws to keep firearms from dangerous individuals. Although she has previously supported defunding the police, her current plan is focused on investing in funding law enforcement to hire and train more officers. Trump, on the other hand, is firmly against most gun restrictions, promising to appoint federal judges who oppose firearm limits and positioning himself as a defender of the Second Amendment. Both candidates, however, have found common ground in criminal justice reform. Harris voted for the First Step Act, a bipartisan reform bill Trump signed in 2018 to reduce certain prison sentences and support early release programs for inmates who complete training. Immigration. Kamala Harris and Donald Trump offer two sharply different approaches to immigration and border security. Harris, who has been called a failed border czar by Trump and his supporters, lists securing our borders and fixing our broken immigration system as a priority. Her campaign supports President Biden's policy of limiting asylum claims during times of border overwhelm, and has pledged to revive a bipartisan border security bill. This bill would increase Border Patrol resources and resume some border wall construction. Trump, meanwhile, has made securing the southern border a central focus, promising to end what he calls the Harris-Biden administration's border disaster by reinstating the Remain in Mexico policy and ending catch-and-release practices. He has also vowed to complete the Trump wall and plans for mass deportations, including hiring 10,000 additional Border Patrol agents. Abortion. Kamala Harris and Donald Trump hold opposite views on abortion, making it a defining issue in their campaigns. Harris has made defending reproductive freedom a central focus, criticizing Trump for hand-picking Supreme Court justices who overturned Roe v. Wade, which he has openly celebrated. Harris's campaign promises she will never allow a national abortion ban to become law and would even consider eliminating the Senate a filibuster to secure nationwide abortion rights. Trump, however, has taken a mixed stance. While he praised the brilliant and brave justices responsible for overturning Roe, he has been hesitant about a federal abortion ban, saying he would veto it and want states to decide. Although he expressed support for Florida's 6-week abortion ban, he hasn't fully committed, which has drawn criticism from both sides. As the campaign unfolds, their starkly different approaches to abortion may heavily impact voter opinions. Healthcare. Kamala Harris and Donald Trump have vastly different approaches to healthcare. Harris aims to take on big pharma to lower drug prices and cap insulin costs, focusing on policies like a $35 insulin cap and a $2,000 limit on out-of-pocket prescription drug expenses, as part of the 2022 Inflation Reduction Act. Her campaign also promises medical debt forgiveness and expanded Affordable Care Act support, which could save millions of Americans an average of $800 per year. While she once backed Medicare for all, Harris now focuses on strengthening the Affordable Care Act to meet Americans' healthcare needs. Trump, on the other hand, has offered few specifics, saying he has concepts for healthcare reform but pledging that Republicans will tackle out-of-control costs through more transparency, choice, and competition. His campaign promises more affordable options, though critics question how these will unfold in practice. Their approaches underline contrasting visions: Harris's structured reform versus Trump's market-driven changes. Foreign policy. Kamala Harris's campaign emphasizes a commitment to strengthen, not abdicate, America's global leadership, asserting that the U.S. will defeat China in the competition for the 21st century. To support this vision, she backs maintaining a robust defense budget. In fact, the Biden-Harris administration recently submitted a fiscal year 2025 budget to Congress, requesting $849.8 billion for the Department of Defense, an increase from last year's $842 billion request. On the other hand, Donald Trump promises to revitalize our depleted military while ensuring to keep America out of unnecessary foreign wars. He also advocates for pushing NATO allies to increase their defense spending to 3% of GDP. As both candidates outline their strategies, the stakes for U.S. military and foreign policy are higher than ever. Russia-Ukraine. Kamala Harris and Donald Trump offer contrasting views on the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Harris promises strong, continued U.S. support for Ukraine, pointing to her role in mobilizing over 50 countries against Putin's brutal aggression. She criticized Trump for his perceived leniency toward Russia, claiming, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv right now if Trump had been in office. Trump, meanwhile, has pledged to end the war in 24 hours but has provided no details on how he'd achieve it. He sidestepped questions about the conflict, saying only that he wants the war to stop, leaving many curious about his approach. Israel-Palestine. Kamala Harris and Donald Trump offer distinct approaches to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Harris emphasizes Israel's security while also focusing on the need to ensure that the suffering in Gaza ends. She has called for a ceasefire and hostage deal, advocating for a balanced solution that addresses both security and humanitarian needs. Trump, meanwhile, has a firmly pro-Israel stance, highlighting his support by relocating the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem in 2018 and referring to himself as Israel's big protector. His 2020 Trump peace plan hinted at a future Palestinian state, though his 2024 campaign hasn't focused on this issue. After Iran's recent missile attack on Israel, Trump suggested targeting Tehran's nuclear stuff in retaliation, underscoring his assertive approach. Their differing stances reflect Harris's focus on diplomacy alongside security and Trump's prioritization of strong pro-Israel actions. Now let's take a closer look at Donald Trump and Kamala Harris's unique qualities and key differences in how they lead and connect with people. Donald Trump has several key strengths that enhance his political appeal. His business acumen is evident through his global brand, particularly with the Trump Organization and The Apprentice. He resonates with working-class voters via his populist America First message. Addressing frustrations with political elites. Trump's media savvy allowed him to use platforms like Twitter to connect directly with his base, reshaping political communication. He took a tough stance on trade, renegotiating NAFTA into USMCA and imposing tariffs on China. Additionally, he appointed 3 Supreme Court justices, significantly influencing the court's ideological balance for years to come. On the other hand, Kamala Harris possesses several strengths that bolster her political appeal. With her experience as the District Attorney of San Francisco and Attorney General of California, she has deep legal expertise and a strong prosecutorial background. As the first female, first Black, and first South Asian Vice President, Harris symbolizes diversity and progress in U.S. politics. She gained national attention for her strong debate skills during the Democratic primary debates. Harris is a committed advocate for social justice, focusing on criminal justice reform, women's rights, and addressing systemic inequalities. Additionally, Her tenure as a U.S. Senator from California has equipped her with significant policy knowledge and legislative experience. Here are some interesting facts about both. Donald Trump holds several interesting distinctions in U.S. history. He was the first president elected without any prior political or military experience, making his 2016 victory historic. Known for his wealth and celebrity status, Trump was already one of the world's most recognizable businessmen. Thanks to his flashy lifestyle and reality TV fame, he is also the only U.S. president to have been impeached twice, first in 2019 over his dealings with Ukraine and again in 2021 following the January 6 Capitol riot. Additionally, Trump is the first president to lose the popular vote in both the 2016 and 2020 elections. As for Kamala Harris, she made history as the first woman, the first black woman, and the first person of South Asian descent to serve as Vice President of the United States. With a multicultural background, Harris's mother is Indian and her father is Jamaican, shaping her political identity. She is an alumna of Howard University, a historically black college, and a proud member of Alpha Kappa Alpha, the first sorority founded by African American women. A strong advocate for immigration reform, Harris has championed the rights of dreamers, undocumented immigrants who came to the U.S. as children. Her sister, Maya Harris, a lawyer and political analyst, was a senior advisor during Kamala's presidential campaign. As the nation stands at a crossroads, the decision between Trump's bold, unconventional leadership and Harris's vision of inclusive progress will define America's future. Both offer starkly different paths, one focused on shaking up the system, the other on reforming it from within, but the final choice rests in your hands. Which vision speaks to your values? Share your thoughts in the comments, and make sure to subscribe for more engaging discussions on the biggest issues shaping our world.